It's a shocking scandal.
My focus is that I'm gonna keep my eyes on God.
A man of the cloth, Pastor Tracy Burleson, has an extramarital affair with Tyonne Palmer. Then the pastor's wife, Pauletta, is murdered in the family home. 3 weeks later, police catch the killer. He's Pauletta's 19-year-old stepson, William. But he's not taking the rap by himself. William says his father and the other woman put him up to it so they could be together. Tyonne Palmer says she's innocent. But a jury doesn't agree, convicting her of murder. Is Tyonne a homewrecker, a cold-blooded killer, or a victim of love? From her prison in the heart of Texas, Tyonne Palmer is ready to tell her story. I'm Candice DeLong. As an FBI agent, I worked on the front line for the world's most powerful law enforcement agency. I went undercover, I trailed terrorists, and I interviewed notorious killers. It's my job to understand the people who others cannot comprehend. May 12, 2010, Houston, Texas. A blazing fire rips through the First New Mount Calvary Baptist Church in the middle of the night. Pauletta Burleson, wife of the pastor, Tracy, speaks of her devastation.
And if we take our focus off God, believe me, world, we have nothing.
A week later, she is dead. Shot at point-blank range in the back of the head as she sits in her garage. Pauletta's stepson, William Fuller, confesses to a friend and is arrested 3 weeks after the shooting. But he says his father and his father's lover wanted him to do it, and he makes claims of a bizarre love triangle. All three are convicted of murder. Everyone's behind bars now, but it's Tyonne's story I find most fascinating. I want to know how a hardworking nurse and mother of 3 ends up serving 7 years in the Murray unit in Gatesville, Texas. Tell me how you first met William, Tracy's son.
I met William through a mutual friend of ours in the neighborhood. William was telling me of some difficulties that he was having at his house, and he was speaking about his illness. He had sickle cell, so he was speaking about that.
Sickle cell anemia is a debilitating disease of the blood which can produce painful ulcers.
And I was trying to help him take better care of himself and how to watch for signs. So he sort of started coming over to the house and eating and then falling asleep. And then as time went on, he just ended up moving in there.
By the spring of 2009, the 30-year-old divorced mother of 3 finds herself with another mouth to feed. William lives with Tyonne for 2 years. Her decision to help William will change Tyonne's life forever.
Around December, William gave me a letter that was written from his father. And
what did it say?
He expressed his interest in me and wanting to get to know me and possibly have a relationship.
Tyonne had caught Pastor Tracy's eye in his church. Tracy was married, but Tyonne still takes up his offer. What were you thinking when you started dating him? He was married.
Well, when the letter first came, that was my very first question. You know, you're a pastor and you're married, what's really going on? And he sent another letter saying things on the outside is not what they always appear. And I was under the impression that he was separated, so I believed what I was told.
Come on in, please.
Tyonne says she and Tracy never kept their relationship a secret.
His family had met me. We spent holidays together. My family knew about him. You know, we were dating, we were courting. It was a fairy tale.
In March 2010, Tyonne's dream comes true. Tracy asks her to marry him.
I think you're so jazzy.
He proposed to me and he asked me to marry him, and I did agree.
It's illegal to be married to two people at the same time.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you thinking was going to happen?
I was thinking he was getting a divorce the same way that I was getting a divorce.
But Tracy never gets divorced. It must have really, really hurt you.
It destroyed me, yes, it did.
Does this turn Tyonne into a killer? Houston, Texas, 2010. Mother of three, Tyonne Palmer has found new love in her life. She's dating her local pastor, Tracy Burleson, who's just proposed to her. He's married, but says he's separated and filing for divorce. Tyonne, with her 3 children, wants the pastor and his 19-year-old son, William, to make up the perfect family. Then the pastor drops a bombshell. He's still living with his wife.
So the pastor is preaching to his flock to live a moral life. And
Yes.
here he was, not divorced from his wife, right?
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
separated from his wife, Paulette.
Yes.
When did you find that out?
I didn't find that out until later on during the relationship. Little things, wasn't adding up to me. There was a time when I was asking him, well, what's really going on? I need you to let me know what's going on. His church burned down, and he told me that it wasn't a good time for him to leave his wife because he need her, for support because of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, well, I thought you guys were already separated, getting a divorce, so you should have already left her.
Tyonne's disappointment seems genuine to me. The question is, did that mean she wanted to erase Pauletta from the picture? Or would planning a murder with a man who betrayed her be the last thing she would do?
It must have really, really hurt you when you found out he was married.
It destroyed me, yes, it did. I was already dealing with issues of trust with men, trying to give my heart to somebody or just try to believe in somebody because of my recent divorce. And for him to come and tell me that I can trust him and that he wouldn't hurt me, I thought I was special again. I thought I was loved. I thought I was wanted.
Although Tracy no longer seems to want to leave his wife, his son William is more than happy to be away from her.
Did you know that he hated his stepmother?
Yes, I did.
Why did he hate his stepmother?
He hated his stepmother, according to William, because she abused him.
She abused him?
She abused him, and when he came to stay with me, he said he was sleeping in a garage. And he said she would force him to stay in a church, and they wouldn't bring him food or anything, or they would beat on him with wood.
William seems to want the perfect family life. There's only one person standing in the way, Pauletta. A jilted lover, an abused son, and a cheating husband. All with a motive to kill. May 18th, 2010. In the dead of night, Tyonne receives a life-changing phone call.
William called you.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me about that.
When William called, he asked me, could I come and pick him up?
How did he
We were by
sound?
the house. He sounded normal. He just said, Tink, I'm ready. Can you come and pick me up? And I said, okay. And we hung up the phone. I was in my night clothes, so I had to get up and get dressed. And he called me again, right back. And I said, I'm on my way.
William is calling from a street corner 1 block from his former family home. Tyonne says she picks him up there and drives him to her place. Then something strange happens.
He came and he said, Tink, we need to talk. And I said, well, what do we need to talk? He said, let's go take a ride. We need to talk.
Did he seem upset?
He did seem different at that time, yes, ma'am. I said, okay. Then his phone chirped. His dad was on the other end screaming. And I couldn't really understand what his father was saying, but then I said, well, William, what's going on? Tell me what's going on.
Tyonne would soon discover just how far William was willing to go to fulfill his hopes of a perfect family.
And he said he shot her.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Pastor Tracy Burleson has been dating mother of three, Tyonne Palmer, for 5 months. They are engaged to be married and plan on building the perfect family together. Problem is, Pastor Tracy is still married to his wife of 14 years, Pauletta. After months of lies and deceit, something had to give. May 18, 2010. William has just called Tyonne for a lift.
I said, well, William, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. And from there, he told me that he had shot Paulette.
Just like that?
Just like that.
While sitting in a chair in her garage at 10:15 p.m., Pauletta Burleson is killed instantly by a bullet to her head.
He just said he walked up to her and he shot her. And he said he thought about shooting her again, but he realized that one was just enough.
And William says Pastor Burleson witnessed the whole thing. The pastor denies this, saying he was there that night, but had gone to the store before William pulled the trigger.
Harris County 911, can you please fire ambulance?
Hey, police,
What's going on there? Why are the officers needed?
somebody shot my wife.
Were you here when your wife was shot?
I wasn't here. I pulled up and she was sitting in the chair. And all I did was pulled in. And I went, and she was just slumped over.
At the trial, William accuses his father and Tyonne, saying both wanted Pauletta out of the way. Tyonne's telling me now this was all news to her.
Did you ask him why he shot her?
William said that he shot her because he hated her.
He hated her.
He hated her.
Do you think that he thought Paula deserved to die?
I can't answer that for William.
What do you think?
I don't believe anybody deserves to die for anything. I believe that if you're in a situation, there's always something you can do to get out of that situation. You can remove yourself from that situation. It's not anybody's place to choose to take someone else's life.
If Tyonne really believes that, you might think she'd go straight to the police, but she doesn't. She keeps William's confession a secret for 3 weeks.
When the police questioned me, I did not tell them what I know.
Why didn't you tell them?
I was scared.
Scared of what?
I was scared of what was going on. I was confused. I just didn't know what to do.
Did Tracy ever talk with you about planning Pauletta's murder?
No, ma'am.
Not a hint.
Not a hint.
Did he ever admit to you that after becoming aware his son had killed his wife, the son's stepmother, did he say how he felt about that?
No. I questioned him on that because I remember William telling me that his dad was there when he went to the house. Tracy told me that he wasn't there. So
Who'd you believe?
I believed William because, I mean, he just told me that he killed his stepmother.
I find it interesting that Tyonne sides with William here. If she really wanted Pauletta out of the way, you might think she would embrace Pastor Tracy. But her allegiance is to William. After all, she'd treated him like a son, and he had referred to her as his mom. But that makes what happens next even more bizarre.
There came a time when you and William became more than friends.
We had I don't even know what word to use because...
You had sex?
We had sex.
Houston, Texas, May 18, 2010. Pauletta Burleson is found shot dead in her garage. A jury finds 3 people have a motive to kill her, and they're all convicted. The trigger man, 19-year-old William, her stepson. Tracy, her husband. And his girlfriend, Tyonne Palmer. But Tyonne's always maintained she had nothing to do with it. It was between the son and the father. Things get really complicated for Tyonne when William's behavior towards her changes.
Was he still living with you after
He
the
was
murder?
still living with me.
Was that frightening for you?
That was frightening because what made me really begin to realize that William had something to do with that was because William became violent.
Tell me about that.
William put a hole in my wall. He ripped my ceiling fan out of my ceiling. He punched my mirror. He threw phones throughout my house and had
This
holes.
is a one-man cyclone you're talking about, and all of this violent behavior started after the night. He killed his mother.
Yes.
It's conceivable a teenager caught up in a violent crime can lash out at loved ones. I've seen it before. Frustration, hormones, and physical strength make a potent combination. But what's difficult to understand is what happens next.
There came a time when you and William became more than friends. You had an intimate relationship with William?
It wasn't an intimate relationship. It was around the time when he became violent. As I mentioned, he would grab me and throw me down. And a sexual, we had I don't even know what word to use because...
You had sex?
We had sex, basically.
That simple?
And
simple
no,
and complex?
It wasn't that simple.
Well, it wasn't simple. Tell me about it.
No, it wasn't simple because it wasn't sex for me. It wasn't.
What was it?
It wasn't something that I wanted.
Okay.
I felt as if I was being forced to do something that I didn't want to do. I felt that there was underlying issues with that. It wasn't a mutual thing.
Was it a one-time thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Tyonne is careful not to call this rape, which I find interesting. But her world is about to be turned upside down. Although she kept William's murder confession a secret, William himself did not. He tells a friend who goes straight to the police. William confesses, but says his father and Tyonne put him up to it. William says his father had been encouraging him for years before Tyonne even came into the picture. Pastor Tracy denies it.
Tracy stated under oath in court that he had nothing to do with Pauletta's murder. What do you think?
I think that William did decide to make his own decision, but I believe that there probably have been some coercion there. I believe that if he didn't tell William to do anything, he may have insinuated something.
Some people have said that you're the mastermind behind this, that you and Tracy asked William to kill his mother. What do you say to that?
I say that they're incorrect. I can't speak for Tracy, but I never asked anybody to kill anyone. I'm not that sort of person. I'm not an evil person like that, so they're wrong.
The jury convicts all 3 for murder. But in sentencing, the court seems to assign a sliding scale of blame. Pastor Tracy gets life without parole. William is sentenced to 20 years, and Tyonne, 7 years.
The law says you're guilty of murder. What do you think you're guilty of?
I'm guilty of not telling the truth. I'm guilty of being involved with a married man. I'm guilty of picking his son up after he shot his stepmother, but I'm not guilty of murder. I had no knowledge, nor did I kill anybody.
Does Tyonne come across as a homewrecker? A premeditated murderer? Not to me. If Tyonne is innocent, she has been betrayed in the cruelest way. by the young man she took in as her own, a young man she lied to protect.
I'll see you later.
I want you to imagine that I am William. What would you like to say to me?
I would say, why would you lie on me? Why would you take everything from me and then make this lie? You know, you've taken my kids from me, and I've done nothing but love you and take care of you. I tried to be your mother, I tried to be your friend and your aunt. And because you couldn't have your way with me, or because I wouldn't give you what you wanted, or because I wouldn't do what you asked me to do, then you decide to lie on me, and now I'm in prison. I mean, all I asked for you to do is just tell the truth. And you know I didn't ask you to kill anybody. I had no knowledge that you wanted to kill anybody. Why would you lie and say something like that?
Tyonne Palmer thought Pastor Tracy Burleson and William Fuller could help her make the perfect family. Instead, she got tangled in a family melodrama. It's a sad story I see often. Women in search of the perfect man sometimes make poor decisions. In my experience, if it all seems too good to be true, it probably is.